Not everyone who enters your life deserves to stay. The Stoics knew exactly when to close the door, permanently. There is a lie the modern world tells you. It sounds like virtue. It feels like kindness, but it will hollow you out from the inside. The lie is this, that loyalty means tolerating anyone who asks for it, that patience means absorbing endless harm, that being a good person means keeping the door open to those who walk through it only to take. You know the feeling, that tightness in your chest when their name appears on your phone, the way your jaw clenches before you even answer, the exhaustion that settles into your bones after an hour in their presence. You tell yourself this is normal. You tell yourself relationships are supposed to be hard. You make excuses for behavior that, if you saw it happening to someone you loved, you would call unacceptable. The masses believe that cutting someone off is cold, cruel, a failure of compassion. The Stoics understood something far more dangerous, that some people do not enter your life to support you. They come to consume you, and the longer you allow this consumption, the less of you remains. This is not about anger. This is not about revenge. This is about the quiet discipline that a strong inner life demands. 2,000 years ago, a philosopher named Seneca learned this lesson in the most brutal way possible. In 49 AD, Seneca was recalled from 8 years of exile to tutor a young boy named Nero, the future emperor. Seneca believed he could shape this boy into a philosopher king. He believed proximity to power could be leveraged for good. He believed that with patience, with wisdom, with careful guidance, he could transform a ruler into a sage. For 5 years, it seemed to work. Nero's early reign was competent, measured. Seneca's influence was visible. But the student did not remain the student for long. As Nero matured, darker influences took hold. He murdered his own mother. He murdered his wife. The boy Seneca had hoped to mold was becoming a monster, and Seneca found himself trapped. His influence was fading. His teachings were ignored, yet he could not leave. Twice, Seneca asked Nero for permission to retire. Twice, he was refused. The man who wrote extensively about freedom had become a prisoner of his own proximity to corruption. I understand this trap more than I wish I did. There was a time when I confused loyalty with obligation, when I believed that years invested meant I owed more years, when walking away felt like failure rather than wisdom. It took me longer than it should have to recognize that some doors are not meant to be kept open. Seneca eventually withdrew as much as he could, retreating to his villa, dedicating his final years to writing his most powerful works. The letters to Lucilius. These letters became warnings to others about what he had experienced firsthand. He wrote, "To consort with the crowd is harmful. There is no person who does not make some vice attractive to us, or stamp it upon us, or taint us unconsciously therewith." In 65 AD, a conspiracy to assassinate Nero was uncovered. Though likely innocent, Seneca was implicated. Nero ordered his former teacher to commit suicide. When the centurion arrived, Seneca asked calmly, "Where are your maxims of philosophy, or the preparation of so many years' study against evils to come? Who knew not Nero's cruelty?" He died as a Stoic, calm, dignified, but he died nonetheless, because he had stayed too long in the orbit of someone who could not be changed, only escaped. The Stoics left us 4 unmistakable signs, 4 warnings that tell you when a relationship has crossed from difficult to destructive. Most will hear these and recognize them immediately. The question is whether recognition becomes action. The first sign: they corrupt your character. Seneca warned that much harm is done by a single case of indulgence or greed. If you notice yourself becoming worse when around a particular person, more cynical, more reactive, more willing to compromise your values, this is the clearest signal that the relationship must end. You feel it in your body, the way you hold yourself differently around them, the words that come out of your mouth that do not sound like you, the compromises you make that you swore you never would. The Stoics believed character is the only true good. Anything that corrupts it is the only true evil. A person who brings out your worst self, regardless of their intentions, is poison to your soul. The second sign: they are fair-weather friends. Seneca identified people who enter friendships calculating what they can extract. He wrote, "He who regards himself only and enters upon friendships for this reason reckons wrongly. At the first rattle of the chain, such a friend will desert him." These people vanish when you can no longer serve their purposes. They flatter in prosperity, but flee in adversity. The test of true friendship is crisis, and those who fail that test have revealed their nature. The third sign: they disturb your inner peace without purpose. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Choose not to be harmed, and you won't feel harmed. Don't feel harmed, and you haven't been." But some people seem designed to test this principle, not through honest challenge that makes you grow, but through constant drama, manipulation, and emotional chaos that serves no purpose except to drain you. You feel the weight of it pressing against your chest before they even speak. The anticipation of chaos, the bracing for impact. Part of you wants to dismiss this as weakness on your part, that you should simply be more resilient. Another part knows exactly why that logic doesn't hold. The Stoic goal is tranquility. Some people make this impossible, not because life is hard, but because they profit from your disturbance. The fourth sign: they cannot tell good from evil. Marcus Aurelius observed that difficult people are like this because they can't tell good from evil. This is not an insult. It is a diagnosis. Some people genuinely cannot distinguish between what helps and what harms. They mistake cruelty for strength, manipulation for intelligence, exploitation for success. You cannot reason with such people. You can only distance yourself from their influence before their confusion becomes your own. The ancients left us more than philosophy. They left us a blueprint for dominance over the self. Subscribe to inner Imperium to uncover what they knew. Seneca could not escape Nero's orbit until it was too late. But you have what he did not: the freedom to choose your associations. You do not need an emperor's permission to walk away. Consider the longtime friend who consistently criticizes your goals, who mocks your ambitions, who subtly undermines your confidence. You have known them for years. History feels like obligation. The weak response is to continue accepting the behavior because that is how they have always been. The Stoic response is to recognize that time invested does not obligate you to continue investing. History is not a contract for future suffering. Consider the family member who brings constant drama, chaos, conflict. You feel guilty about distancing yourself because they share your blood. Shared blood does not override shared values. You can love someone from a distance. Some people can only be loved safely from afar. This is not cruelty. This is clarity. Epictetus, who was born a slave and had his leg broken by his master, understood limits better than anyone. He taught, if your companion be infected, he who converses with him will be infected likewise. Marcus Aurelius began each morning preparing himself. The people I deal with today will be meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly. They are like this because they can't tell good from evil. This was not pessimism, it was armor. When the difficult person appeared, he was already prepared. But preparation is not the same as permanent acceptance. Even emperors understood when to close doors. The question you must answer is not whether these signs are true. You already know they are. The question is what you will do with that knowledge. Modern psychology confirms what the Stoics observed 2,000 years ago. Emotions spread between people like viruses. We unconsciously mirror the moods and behaviors of those around us. Studies show that habits, attitudes, and even happiness spread through social networks up to 3 degrees of separation. Your environment shapes your character. Your closest relationships are your most powerful environment. There is no neutral ground. Seneca offered the prescription clearly. Associate with those who will make a better man of you. Welcome those whom you yourself can improve. This is not about isolation. It is about curation. The Stoic ideal was a garden that needed tending, not a field open to every weed. When you have identified a toxic influence, withdraw gradually but completely. Seneca wrote, "Withdraw into yourself as far as you can. Do not make dramatic announcements. Simply become less available. You owe no one an explanation for protecting your character." Then fill the space. Nature abhors a vacuum. Seek people who challenge you to grow, who share your values, who bring out your best self. Seneca spent years trying to influence Nero, believing he could shape a tyrant into a philosopher. He stayed too long, gave too much, paid the ultimate price. But his writings survive, a gift forged from his own failure. He learned in the end what he taught others. Some people cannot be changed, only escaped. Some relationships cannot be fixed, only ended. And the only thing you can truly protect is your own character. Guard it fiercely. The diagnosis is complete. The prescription is clear. Subscribe to Inner Imperium for more analysis of the modern condition. And in the comments, tell us, who in your life consistently brings out your worst self? And what would it take for you to finally close that door?